Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. This is Brendan Lee with thebrendanlee.com in support of Consciousness and Skill Worldwide, founded by Peter Ralston. If you want to support the channel, like and subscribe, share this with a couple thousand people. It'd be great. This question comes from Eugenio. In this video, I want to talk about becoming conscious now. I want to talk about becoming conscious now. Basically, can you speak about becoming conscious now? Yes, I can. In the domain of consciousness work, but then we're working on, and this question likely came from, he just did a workshop here, it was a contemplation intensive, where in these types of workshops, what we're working on is becoming directly conscious of the absolute nature of some matter. And usually starts with you, like who am I? And then what am I? And then what is another? What is life? All these other things, other questions. Now, don't make a schematic out of that. Don't make a progression out of that. It doesn't matter what questions you ask. It just matters what you become conscious of. Ramana Maharshi only used the who am I question for everything. So who cares? And really, who cares? You should have been there. The question is about becoming conscious now. And so in the context of contemplation, all thinking is really irrelevant. All perception is irrelevant. Nothing really matters. However, if you might be running into some trap, here are some considerations about now. Notice that in order for you to even think something, you have to have some sort of process, or you can notice that we live in the world of process. So you want to become conscious. And then you want to become conscious now, because if you cannot, that is the only time you will be getting conscious, is now. Right? See, are you going to get conscious in the future? Well, in the future, when you do get conscious, it's going to be now again, you see? Do you see how as I talk, see, now is different than what was, but it's still now. And now what happens is what was, and then and it just keeps going like that, like your experience becomes concept immediately, or pretty close to immediately. I mean, it's pretty damn quick. Like, look, now, and now, you see, I snap my fingers, and now I'm not snapping my fingers. Now, what you have about, relative to me snapping my fingers, is a concept. You see how fast that is? Okay? Now, if we try to get even more present and more in, people say the now, I'm going to be in the now, I'm going to be in this present moment. Take a look. Even if you do your best to be in this present moment, you still are not completely now. Why? Because you can recognize things. Do you still register movement? See, the only way you can register that something is moving is that you relate some present experience of what's there to what was. You see? And and then you say, well, it's moved. But there is no movement here. The only way you get to have movement is if you're making a reference to what was, and the only way to reference what was is because you're referencing something that's not is. You're referencing a concept that's occurring now about what you say was, and that's an activity that you're doing. And then you say, oh, there's movement, or understanding what I'm saying. The only way you can understand the words that are coming out of my mouth is if you reference the sounds, and you have sounds, some experience of sounds, and you string it all together, and you reference a concept of what it means, which is totally based on your past, because you learned that in the past, and you reference it now, and you do it so fast, it sounds like there's actually words coming out of my mouth, not sounds. You're fucking fast. Yeah? And then consider from a scientific paradigm, Light actually takes time to get from point A to point B, strike your eyeball, then it has to travel through some nerves, and your brain has to make sense out of all that, and then give you an image, which also looks like it's occurring now. But you're not actually seeing what is now. You are seeing what was a moment ago. A very quick moment, and your mind is really fast at this. So then about being now, it starts to be like, well, wait a minute, but it looks so, I'm so present, I'm so now. No, you're not. You don't live in the now. You live in the even if you are doing your best attempt with your mind to perceive now, you cannot perceive what is now. Perception itself is an activity. Your perceptive experience, the fact that you even interpret a camera or a person here on probably on some kind of screen right now. The fact that you can even interpret a human being and make sense of all this means you are entering some process which is heavily dominated by concepts, and it is not what is now. You will not perceive what is now. You can't do that. That's not perception's job. And it's not your mind's job either. Your mind's job is to make sense out of things, but it's not now. Okay? So now, when you are contemplating, you put your attention on now. Say, but so now, you can't even think a thought. So now that you can't even perceive. And you hold your attention there as best you can. And if you are contemplating, and based on what I hear a bit from your letter, is I run into this problem where I start noticing that I don't know what now is. Okay, cool. You're noticing that. That's noticing something. Who cares? In the domain of becoming directly conscious and more specifically in a contemplation intensive, it's all up for grabs. Who cares? And seriously, if you're working on what you are, like who are you? You care. Then what are you? I don't know what now is. That's a thought. Don't think that thought. Or do, but recognize that's a thought, and who cares? Again, you see the rub, and then it's tricky because you will hear what I'm saying perhaps as, oh, these are some steps to follow to becoming conscious of what I am, my true nature. And in terms of an enlightenment intensive or contemplation intensive, all of what I'm saying is completely irrelevant. Simply do the technique as stated. Put your attention on you, what's really you right now, with the intent to become directly conscious of what you are and open up, and whatever fills the space, that openness, either you get enlightened or something comes up. If something comes up, communicate, do the technique again. I have a thought about, I don't know what now is. Okay. I don't know what now is. Great. What am I? I really don't know what now is. Okay, I keep thinking this thought that I don't know what now is. Okay, good. There's a thought. Now, what am I? You see, this is an example of, in the contemplative effort, working that aspect. You have stuff come up. You're going to have stuff come up. So in terms of being now, there you go. Consider that you will not ever be able to perceive now anyway. And you can't think it. It's too now to think. Where's the thinking? So what do you do about that? Well, like I said, one, communicate within the context of a contemplation intensive. Communicate that to your partner. Get it across. Or, like you mentioned in the letter, you can just drop it. All right, you don't know what now is. That's a different question than grasping what you are. Just focus on getting what you are. And then maybe you can tackle now later. Oh man, I'm glad I cracked myself up. Okay, so that's what I have for you on this now business and becoming conscious now. Oh, in addition, like you mentioned in your letter, and thank you, I have my story about shifting the way I was contemplating. So this is another aspect where, and it seems that as I contemplate, I've done thousands and thousands of hours of this contemplation stuff, and I run into traps or I run into problems, and then I have to overcome them, the goal is not to overcome them. It's just like I can speak on these matters because I've been through a lot. Yeah? And that is an aspect of people who have experience with something. They have experience with it. Why? Because they've done it a lot. And so they can tell you things about the contemplation that you may not, get. And then at some point you may go through these things. Okay, good. And then maybe while you're in the middle of it, you can remember, oh yeah, he said this about this. Oh, that makes sense why he would say that. Okay, and you can move yourself more quickly. Or not. It depends. I've had many times where I'm going along and then something hits me like, oh yeah. And I'm like, holy shit, Peter's been telling me that for like 10 years. Where was I? I don't know. See, sometimes these things take a long time. Sometimes you get them right away. I wish it was very cut and dry, like there's a rule book or something where I could know, it's going to go like this, but there doesn't seem to be that capacity. I can't tell you, I cannot predict what you're going to do. You have a mind and perspective that does its own stuff. You do your own stuff. All right, so then I go through stuff, and then I run into the problem. So back to my story, it's like I was contemplating, and then I realized, I'm actually contemplating for later. It was close, right? It was as close to now as I could be, as present as I could be, but I realized, wait, I'm going to get it later. Like even a split second, even a fraction of a second later, even the amount of time it takes light to move from there to my eyeball later. You see how quick that is? That's really fast. That's still later though, it's not now. So I shifted. And I went ferociously toward what is true now. Like before I can think. Before I can perceive. Before I even care. Before I feel anything. Not trying to enter some state. Just focusing my attention so now a state will arise about that. See? That's not the goal. The goal is just to grasp what's true now and then focusing so ferociously in this place here. Thinking is irrelevant. Feeling is irrelevant. Perception itself really doesn't matter. And asking what's true while I'm staring, like I heard from Elon Musk quoting his friend, now not that he does these types of things, but staring into the abyss kind of thing. I think it's poetic and nice. Staring right into the face of nothing. Right into the face of I don't know. And being wide open, ferociously wide open to discovering what is really true and just staying there with serious intent. And that's what I did. And hey, maybe you have a breakthrough, huh? Be great. And then have everybody do that. All right, so that's what I have for you on contemplating now. Hopefully you've grasped something more about that. And there you go. This is Brennan Lee with Consciousness and Skill Worldwide. Check out my website, thebrennanlee.com. If you want to get serious, check the links in the description. If you want to be less serious, I have a free video course. If you want to get more serious, buy a video course or hire me to work with you one-on-one online. And if you want to get even more serious than that, you should definitely come to workshops or be an apprentice, but it's only if you're seriously serious. Okay, catch you later. Until next time, thank you, and good luck.